Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to have you on the Sunbelt Preseason Men's Basketball Teleconference with us today. Very excited to be starting the season this week, and also very excited to have one of the new coaches in the Sunbelt Conference on with us this morning, and that is from Georgia State, Coach Ron Hunter. Coach, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you on. Just a reminder to our members of the media today, we will be able to do a Q&A with each head coach, and it's *1 at any time to get a question in the queue. While we wait for questions to get in the queue for Coach Hunter, Coach, could you start us off with an opening statement and talk a little bit about what your expectations are for the season?
Well, we have high expectations here. We've got a good basketball team, and we're excited about this team. We're actually excited about joining the Sunbelt. I'm playing in the Sunbelt. One of the things that this is my 27th year in this business, and one of the things that I know is that we've got some very, very good basketball coaches in this league. I'm excited about the coaches in this league. I think there's some talented young men. I think there are at least 5 or 6 young men in this league that can play at the next level. And so I think Sunbelt basketball is definitely on the rise, and we're just happy to be a part of it. We think we're going to bring something special to the league in regards to, again, we know we're bringing a good basketball team in here, and we're excited about it. We're trying to mesh some of our new guys with some of our old guys, and we feel like that's coming along pretty well. And so we're excited about get going this weekend and moving on, get ready for the NIT.
Great, thank you, Coach. And our first questions this morning come from the line of Doug Robertson with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Doug, if you're ready, go ahead.
I am. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, Doug. How are you?
I'm fine. You know, the team is loaded with outside shooters. So can you talk about the role of the 4 big men that you have? What do you need from them and expect from them?
Well, they're really important to us because of the system that we play. They communicate the changing of our defenses and the things that we do. Curtis Washington is off to a great start in regard. He hadn't played in a while, so just to get him back in the field of what we do. But just the energy and the rebounding. We've got some guys who can really shoot the basketball. We've got some guys who can beat you off the bounces. But at the inside, we talk about paint touches every day, and so those guys got to be able to get us the paint touches that we need from the post, whether it's passing or scoring the basketball. So we like what all 4 guys have done. It's the best we've had since, of course, in the 3 years that we've been here. Collectively, it's the best group of 5s that we've had since we've been here.
And, I mean, how many touches do you want them to get?
Well, I mean, we go into the game, we feel like we got to get 51 paint touches a game. And when we get 51 paint touches a game, our chances of winning are exceedingly high. And so we talked about it. And paint touches doesn't necessarily mean paint scores, but we've got to get the ball into the paint, and we've got to make great decisions when we get it in that. And so that's something we chart in practice and we chart in games, and that's really important part of what we do. So those guys, they understand that, and they know that, and they've got to be able to make great decisions with our paint touches.
You said 51?
51 a game, yes, that's our goal.
How do you arrive at such an odd number?
Because I was a bad math student, but for the most part, paint touches can be from a variety of ways. They can be steals from a layup or a guy, offensive rebounding, ball just passed in the paint. You can dribble the ball and for a driving kick and kick out for a 3. That's a paint touch. So there are various ways that you can get paint touches in games in that regard. So we actually, in both our exhibition games, we were about 57 in our exhibition game, so we were right on the mark in that regard. And so there are various ways that you have to play hard, and you've got to move the basketball to get those paint touches.
And that's on offense and defense, right?
Offensively. We're just talking about offensively. We want 51 paint touches offensively, which, again, can come from a steal, which is from a layup. A layup is off of a break or off of a press is a paint touch.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Doug.
And thank you, Doug. Our next questions this morning come from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Josh. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the Sun Belt.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I know it's somewhat of an overplayed storyline, but it's easy for guys like us who maybe don't know quite as much about the history of the program and maybe just the program in general last season. But could you share your thoughts a little bit on the relationship with you and RJ and really what people should expect when they get a chance to see him play this season? And then maybe if you could expand on just what people should expect when they get to see your team take the floor this season.
Well, I think when we talk about our team, one of the things that our kids are going to do, we're always going to play hard. We may not play well some nights, but we're going to play hard. We press, we change defenses, and so we feel like this is our third season getting started here. We've got the kind of team that we wanted to get here. We're led by, my son is a really good player, and we have a great relationship. It's funny, last year was the first time I've ever coached him in anything. I never coached him in Little League or soccer or any of those type of things. My first time ever coaching him in any type of organized event was last year when we opened the season at Duke, and so it was a very interesting concept. I've been coaching for, as I said, 27 years, and I've never been a dad and coach at the same time, and it was a lot more difficult than I thought because coaching was easy, but being a dad during a game was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life because you want your son to succeed in everything he does in life, and but you can't. You got to be careful when you're coaching, and so this is the first time we laughed after the season for about 2.5 hours. On game day, I wasn't dad, and so that was the first time in his life that ever happened. The first time my entire time that I wasn't dad, and so then I just became dad afterwards. And so whether we watched tape together or I just watched it by myself so I could enjoy it, because I don't know if I enjoyed it as much being a father. I enjoyed coaching because he's a tremendous talent, but I want to enjoy it more as a dad if I can. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to balance.
You added you have a number of guys back from last season. And then you also add a big piece in Haro. Share your thoughts on him and a lot of buzz about the type of impact that he's going to be making this season. What are your expectations for him this season, given you have so many veterans and some talented young guys coming back too?
Well, we want him to come in and do what he does best. And, he was a McDonald's All-American here in Atlanta, and he's a very talented player. I've said it before, it's not to put pressure on him or anything. If there are 4 or 5 point guards in the country better than this young man, I'd like to see it. I mean, I coached George Hill, and George Hill is a really, really good player, and I think this kid's more talented than George Hill. And it's funny, I had George here the other day when they played the Atlanta Hawks and had him just talk to Ryan, and he watched him, and he agreed with me on that. I mean, Ryan is a very talented young man. He's got to learn to play with this group that he has. He's really an unselfish kid, and so even to a degree, we want him to be a little bit more selfish and when he plays a little bit. But he's a talented young man that we've got to mesh. I mean, these guys all played together last year, and he's trying to kind of find his niche and fit in with this group. And I love coaching, Ryan. There's a lot of things that have been said about the kid. He's been from day one, since the summer, since he's been here. He has been a joy to coach, and it's fun coaching guys that are really good and that are also great people.
And if you could, looking back on last season, you have so many guys back from last season. You had a number of individuals that had very solid seasons themselves, and yet the team, I know, didn't perform as well as you wanted them to, and I know you guys weren't able to participate in the conference tournament in the CAA because you guys were leaving that league. But I was wondering, can you share maybe what you felt was missing a little bit last year and how you feel maybe that might be different this year?
Well, when I look back on it, the year wasn't as bad as I thought. We had 9 new players come into a program. My first year, we had 9 seniors, and so we won with a group that were older. And then all of a sudden, my second year became like my first year. We had 9 new players. My best player was an 18-year-old kid who happens to be my son. And so we had so many firsts. Me trying to coach my own kid, we had 9 new players that had never – half of them never even played college basketball before. So the mixture of it, and then with the timing, not having enough time. I thought we got better as the year went on. But when I look back on it, I was hard on our kids last year because I thought, we lost so many close games. We felt like we should have won 22, 23 games last year. We lost 7 games by 4 points. The kids never knew how to close games in last year, and so we lost so many close games. And I think that what that did is help. We spent the entire summer in our tour up here, all we worked on situations. Every day we spent 47 minutes working on situations because we felt like that hurt us last year. We had a lot of new guys that really didn't know how to play in games and close games. And so I think that that's going to be better for us this year because we spent an enormous amount of time just working on situations.
Coach, welcome to the Sun Belt. Thanks again for taking some time to talk with us. Good to catch up with you.
Thank you. So happy to be in this league.
Thank you very much, Josh, and thank you very much, Coach Hunter. That's all the time we have for you today, but best of luck this season.
Thank you. Take care, buddy.
This time we are joined with the head coach of UALR, and that is Steve Shields. Just a reminder to get questions in the queue for Coach Shields. It is *1 on your touch-tone phone at any time. As we wait for questions to get in the queue, just like to welcome in Coach Shields, have an opening statement from him. Coach, what are your expectations as we start the season this weekend?
John, thanks. Good to be with y'all. Really excited about our basketball team at this point. As a lot of you know, we were one of the youngest Division I teams in college basketball last year with 7 freshmen, 4 sophomores, 2 juniors, and 1 senior. And coming off of our 17-win season, hope to build on that this year. We've got most of those guys back. We added 3 new guys, 2 point guards in J.T. Thomas and Devontae Smith, 2 junior college point guards. Feel very good about the leadership skills and abilities of those guys, and really like the off season that we've had. We were fortunate to be able to go to Canada this summer, where we were able to have 10 practices and played 3 games up in Calgary in August, and I think we're ahead of where we've been in the last couple of years with that.
Great, thank you, Coach. And our first questions this morning come from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Coach.
Morning, Josh.
Wondering if you could share your thoughts on the point guard position. You mentioned that a little bit already with some newcomers and some guys coming back as well. How have things kind of shaken out so far, and how do you feel about that position going into this year?
You bet. Very excited about the progress of those 2 guys that I mentioned, talking about JT and Devontae. First and foremost, both those guys are coming from winning programs. JT played at Chipola Junior College, and Devontae played at South Plains Junior College. You know, Devontae came from a program where they won 58 games in 2 years that he was a starting point guard out there. They were 36-0 his freshman year, and they won the national championship. He also was a point guard at Oklahoma City Douglas High School, where they won back-to-back state championships his junior and senior years. So he knows what it takes to win. JT's the same way. They had a lot of success at Chipola Junior College. Both those guys bring good energy, good enthusiasm. They're very talkative guys in practice, and that's what you want from that point guard position, and they both know how to handle adverse situations. And I think, you know, one of the things that we've constantly talked with our young team about last year with those freshmen is being able to handle adversity. And I'm not, we didn't handle adverse situations in the best way a year ago, and I think that's where our practices have had more energy. We finished our 26th practice yesterday, had more leadership, more enthusiasm, and that's where I'm most excited about those 2 point guards. We've been able to move Josh Hagans off the ball this year. You know, he played a ton of minutes as a true freshman last year. He's a very skilled 2 guard who can score it in a number of different ways, and I think he's more comfortable at the 2, to be real honest.
You mentioned Hagans. I was going to ask you specifically about Neighbor and then Hagans as well. Can you share your thoughts a little bit on Will and maybe what you expect from him this season? And then also, Josh, with him moving off the ball, assumption would be that's to free him up and allow him to do a little bit more offensively.
You bet. I think first thing, back on Will Neighbor, this is the first off season that he's had that hasn't been an injury-plagued off-season. He's been able to get with John Barron, our strength coach, and has kept his weight up. He's been very disciplined with his eating habits and his hydration throughout the off-season. He's kept his weight right around 225, where toward the end of last season he had dropped down to about 207, 205. And he's one of those guys that needs to play in the 220, 225 range. And he has a body type to where he can lose 5, 7, 8 pounds in a given practice. So he's got to be very disciplined with his hydration and with his eating habits. And he's done that this off season. He's been able to get stronger in the weight room. And all that is going to benefit him and his ability to get to the foul line. I mean, that's something, looking back on it a year ago, he averaged 10.7 rebounds and wasn't able to get to the foul line as much as we wanted. We were in hopes. Everybody knows Will can shoot the basketball. He's gonna get some perimeter looks, but he's also got to be able to go down in the paint and be strong enough and physical enough to where he can get to the foul line using some ball fakes and shot fakes to get there.
If you could also, you mentioned the trip to Canada in the preseason. With such a young team last season, what were some things you were able to take away from being able to go to Canada in the preseason? That always seems to kind of help with build a little bit of continuity as you guys get a chance to work together a little bit extra.
You bet. As everyone knows, you get 10 days of practice in the summer. We brought all of our guys in right after the 4th of July for our last summer term. We spaced our practices out around our recruiting schedule. But I really thought we did come together as a basketball team with these 3 new guys coming in. They were all able to finish their academic work and get here for that last summer term. Marius Hill is a freshman coming in from Homewood Flossmoor. And then the 2 junior college point guards that we talked about had a great trip up there. Did some bonding, able to experience a little bit of Calgary while we were up there, and it was a real positive experience for us. We didn't work a whole lot in our practices on the defensive end. We wanted to try to get our offense ahead of our defense, which is something we haven't been able to do in the past. And I think that's where we had some good work offensively. We still are in the process of trying to become a better rebounding team through these first 26 practices. At this point, we're not a very good rebounding team, to be real honest right now. We've got to continue to get better defensively, but I do feel like we're a little more skilled than what we've been, and we're able to score the ball a little bit better than what we've been able to the last couple of years.
Coach, if you could bear with me, one last question. Could you share your thoughts on Augustine Rubit? He's a guy who's coming back, a lot of preseason accolades, has won a lot of awards over the last couple of years. A lot of coaches have told me they really feel like he's a special player, and I didn't know what your thoughts were about him.
He is. I mean, he's a very special player, relentless offensive rebounder. And I know we had a guy here a few years back, Rashad Jones-Jennings, that led the nation in rebounding, and I think Rubit is along the same lines as Rashad is. He's very skilled as well and can score the basketball in a number of different areas. He's tough to keep off the glass, number one, and he's tough to keep off the foul line. And I think you've got to make an attempt to do those 2 things when you play South Alabama with Rubit. I think there's a reason why, everybody voted him the preseason player of the year. I'll just be glad when he's out of there, to be honest.
Coach, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. And our next questions come from a caller in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Caller, if you're ready, please identify yourself and go ahead.
Hey, Coach Shields. This is Kevin Tuberville with the Jonesboro Sun.
Kevin, how are you?
Doing fine, Coach. Thank you. I wanted to ask you to take a look at the conference race. Last week the coaches' poll seemed to indicate that you guys saw a pretty tight race, to be honest. Just how do you, how do you see it? The league race going in.
Well, I think first and foremost, you can make an argument for any of 5 or 6 teams out there. I mean, and make a legitimate argument for that team being the best in the league coming in. I think we're going to see great parity in our league. Western Kentucky has a number of guys back. Lafayette has a number of guys back with great point guard play in Peyton, and then you've got Long as one of the premier big guys in the league. You can make an argument for John's team. I saw them in Calgary this summer, and you talk about a team that can score the basketball. I mean, they've got a number of guys that can score it. They're always going to be tough defensively, and they're always going to be a great rebounding team. South Alabama, who we just talked about with Rubit, and Ammons in the front line that they've got. You can make an argument with those guys. You can make an argument for Ron's team, at Georgia State. I mean, I haven't seen him, but I've heard so much about his son, about, a couple of their transfers, and I've known Ron for a long time and know the kind of job he did at IUPUI and now at Georgia State. So, I think you could go down the list and really hit on 5, 6, 7 teams that could be fighting for that top spot, and I think that's what'll make for an interesting conference season with the 18-game schedule, and then a great Sun Belt Conference tournament in the New Orleans area.
Just one more thing, if you could just look about at the transition that the league's going through. Obviously, you got 3 new schools this year, 4 that left after last year. Just your thoughts on where the league is as far as that goes.
Well, I think that's what we're all seeing, over the last couple of years, and I'm not sure that it's finished at this point. When you think it's hard to keep up with who's in what leagues nowadays, and with Middle, North Texas, FAU, and FIU leaving, and the addition of Georgia State, I think they're going to be a factor immediately in our league. I think Texas State, I've known Danny Casper for a long time, phenomenal coach, and did an excellent job at Stephen F. Austin. We always scrimmaged Stephen F. Austin because we knew we were going to face a tough, well-coached team. I knew it was a great scrimmage for us in years past. And then you talk about Scott Cross and the job that he's done at UTA. I mean, so we're losing 4 good members, but we're adding 3 excellent members this year, along with the guys that we've got in this league right now. And so I don't think our league's going to be down any from where it was in the past. And I know Middle Tennessee has, Kermit's done a phenomenal job there the last couple of years, and for 11 years for that matter, but they've been exceptional in getting an at-large bid last year. But I don't think you'll see a big drop-off in our league at all.
All right, thank you, Kevin, and thank you very much, Coach Shields. That's all the questions and time we have for you today. Certainly appreciate it, and best of luck this season.
Thanks, John. Thanks, guys.
All right, everyone will please hold. We'll have our next coach on shortly. Thanks for holding. We are now joined by the head coach of Arkansas State, and that is John Brady. To ask questions for Coach Brady, please press *1 at any time. Coach, while we're waiting for questions to get in the queue, I'd like to hear from you a little bit on where you think your team is right now as the season gets underway here shortly.
Well, first of all, I like our team. We've had 2 exhibition games. We played one last night, and we got better from the first exhibition to the second exhibition. And my main concern about this team is 3 things that this team needs to do to be successful. We have to defend, obviously, and we need to execute, and we need to play unselfish. And those are the 3 emphasis that we've been trying to get throughout these exhibition games and our practices to this point. We've got 3 one-year guys on this team, and Kirk Van Slyke, a 6'9" young man, a transfer from University of Houston, Melvin Johnson, a 6'6" wingman from Texas San Antonio, and then we've got Brandon Reed back, who was, most people know, was freshman of the year in the Sun Belt and averaged almost 17 a game in the league as a freshman and made second-team All-League, newcomer of the year, and he's back. And Melvin Johnson and Brandon Reed are nice wing players, and Kirk Van Slyke's a nice perimeter shooter, plus he's pretty good off the post. And we got Ed Townsend back, Kendrick Washington, who's lost 24 pounds, and Cameron Golden's back from a year ago, Rakeem Dickerson, Kelvin Downs at 6'8", Rayford Worsham back from his freshman year. So we've got a nice collection of players. But again, we need to defend it. We need to execute. We need to be unselfish. We won 19 games a year ago. I thought we were good enough to win the conference tournament. We didn't play well against Western in the conference tournament. We'd beaten them 15 here, and 10 days prior to the conference tournament, we'd beat them 19 at their place. So, this league is difficult when you have to play 3 or 4 games in a conference situation, a conference tournament situation. But, our team is to the point where we're good enough to do that. We've just got to play the best we can play at the right time. Like Steve's team at Little Rock, we went to Canada, had a chance to do some things together as a group. Brandon Reed did not make that trip because he was still graduating from Georgia Tech. But I think this year we're better offensively. We've got more depth. Defensively, we need to be better. But I'll be honest with you, I can't tell where we are defensively, even after 2 exhibition games, because the stoppage in play was so often. It's hard to tell. this officiating rule is a difficult situation for everybody. I'm not a big fan of it, but we'll see how it goes. But any team in this league, and there are 4 or 5 teams that are all pretty close, it's going to be the ability to, obviously, when at home, to steal some games on the road, and your ability to win close games will be the key in who comes out on top. But I like the additions to the league. I like the coaches in the league, and we're looking forward to the season.
All right, Coach, and as a reminder for members of the media, *1 to get questions in the queue. I'd like you to expand upon something that you brought up. You said your team was close last year. You had 19 wins, but you did lose a couple of valuable players, but you do replace them with guys like Brandon Reed as well as some newcomers. What to you is going to help you take the next step and in making this program to the next level?
Well, I think we're good enough. It's just a matter of making the right play at the right time in a tournament situation. I think our league, I don't know if the best team has won the conference tournament 4 out of the last 5 years. I don't know if our number 1 seed has been able to advance because of the upset. So, you just got to play a good game at the right time, make the shots at the right time, go to the free throw line, make free throws. We didn't do that against Western, and we weren't able to advance. So, you just got to get to the conference tournament and play your best at that particular time. You're playing for seeding, obviously, throughout the season, and I think we have the first and second, even the third and fourth place team have the best opportunity to advance because of the way the bracket is drawn up. We'll see how that works, and hopefully that will be the case when it's all said and done in New Orleans.
Great, thank you, Coach. And our questions this morning come from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
You talked a little bit already about the newcomers that you have. You also got some guys coming back, on top of the guys that you lost, some big contributors as well. But I'm wondering the mix that you have and having so many one-year guys and then having a few guys who have been around for a while, how's the leadership breakdown kind of worked for your guys? Has there been kind of just how would you explain that dynamic of having some veterans but who haven't been there for maybe as long as, say, Townsend and some of the other experienced guys that have been there for a while?
Well, I think competition is good, and I think depth is a positive thing. And one of the goals of this team is to play unselfish, which incorporates everybody playing together and not worrying about who gets the credit. And I think we've been unselfish the first couple of games, the exhibition games that we've had. But my leadership is Ed Townsend and Kendrick Washington and the players that were here last year in the program. But on the other side of the coin, Kirk Van Slyke's a tremendous young guy that works hard every day. Brandon Reed has fit in quite nicely. He's a mature, been through some things at Georgia Tech. And he's fit in really well. So I think to this point, the blending of this team has been good, and I think the unselfish play that we've tried to stress since we had the practices preparing ourselves to go to Canada, I think it's really done pretty good for us. But it's a good point, and that's something I was concerned with. But I think to this point we've gotten through that, and I like the way we're working and the camaraderie that we've developed.
As far as offensively, I know defensively is where it all starts for you guys, and it's always been like that. So I'm wondering offensively, do you see this being a rather balanced group, or do you see maybe one or two guys in particular kind of carrying a little bit more of the load offensively? I know Reed has scored big time in the program in the past. I didn't know if you kind of had a feeling or an itch as to how that might break down for you guys.
Well, I think we've got a number of guys that'll have, and like I told them last night, Melvin Johnson had 22 points in 24 minutes last night. Brandon Reed scored 18 in 25 minutes last night. Kirk Van Slyke had 18 the first half in the first exhibition game. I didn't even play him but 5 minutes the second half because I wanted to play some other guys. But I think we've got a collection of people that will have their moments any given night, and I think that's going to be one of the things about our team that may be a little difficult to prepare for, because we do have 5 or 6 guys that can make it from the arc. We've got good enough guys off the post. We shot 32 threes last night. We shot 25 in the first game, and this is a little different than some of my teams. We've been inside-oriented to a degree in a lot of teams that I've coached. This team is got some freedom in the perimeter. This is like a Sanford team that I coach. We've got 4 or 5 guys that can really shoot it behind the arc. You've got to let those guys shoot some balls sometimes that are maybe questionable. But again, I think they have the ability to string 3 or 4 in a row that can really separate a score quickly. So we're going to be a team that's looking to shoot it behind the arc. We shot 21 threes the first half last night because they played us a zone, and we're going to have some of those nights, but we're still going to throw it inside to Kendrick, throw it inside to Kirk Van Slyke and Kelvin Downs. But I think we have a team that can spread the floor a little bit and have several guys that can score from time to time.
And if you could, very quickly, Rubit, could you share a little bit about Rubit and maybe the talent in the league? I know with Hunter and Long and Peyton, there's some guys that are getting some attention from NBA scouts, the talented individual players, but I know Rubit's kind of the guy that gets a lot of the attention.
Yeah, well, and deservedly so. I think he's an outstanding player, and talented players that work hard every day, and I'm not around him every day, so I don't know him like that, but I do know it seems that every game that he's played against us, he plays with a toughness, and he tries to play every play. And talent plus toughness and plus competitiveness makes for a good player, and everything he gets he deserves. I voted for him in the position that he's in, so he makes them a good team, and they're going to have a good team. I tried to recruit Michael Ammons and couldn't get him, and I like their team, and I like several teams in this league. After hearing Coach Hunter talk earlier, I'm just hoping we can go up there and show up and get it close. So, but I think the league is good. I like Western's team. I like Steve's team. I saw them in Canada play extremely hard. They're tough. They're physical. They didn't shoot as well as they can, but those things come around later on with more practice. But, Lafayette's got a good team. South Alabama's good. I think we have a chance. So I think there's several teams in this mix that's going to make the league exciting, and I think the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, there's going to be some games that are really going to be meaningful down the stretch.
Coach, thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today, but best of luck with the upcoming season.
Thank you much.
And if everyone will please hold, we'll have our next coach on shortly. We're now joined by the head coach of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and that is Bob Marlin. Coach, great to have you on this morning. Look forward to another great season. And just like you to ask a little bit about how you feel your team's progressed here in the off season and what your expectations are for the upcoming year.
Well, thanks, John. We've got a group that returns some experience. We were able to take a foreign trip to Spain in August, so the 10 additional days of practice there really helped our club. We went over and played and were able to have some success overseas. Came back, took a little bit of time off before the early start of practice, and have worked hard in the fall to improve. And we also have a couple of guys that weren't on the Spain trip that we've added to our roster that needed this game and experience that we just had the other night against William Carey in an exhibition, and need the preparation going into this season. We have more size, more depth, more versatility than we had a year ago. Unfortunately, we've got one of our guys has missed most of the fall practice with a broken foot. Bryant Bomaloo, who's a third-year starter, averaged 14 and 4 for us last year, so he's an important piece of what we're doing, a team captain, and we hope to have him back here in the next few weeks.
Great, thank you, Coach. And again, a reminder to our members of the media to *1 to ask a question at any time. And our first questions this morning come from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. You mentioned the trip overseas in the preseason. Can you share how that kind of helped your program out? That type of a trip usually seems to help with kind of continuity and cohesiveness. How did that benefit your guys being able to do that?
Well, time will tell, Josh. We got the practices in, which was really the main focus. We worked hard during the July period, which was difficult because of the evaluation period. We were all over the country recruiting, hopefully being able to sign a couple of guys here in the next couple of days or the next week, and then coming back and practicing the team. But it certainly, the experience of the practice was good. We go over there, the experience of traveling abroad, being together, being a place where the cell phones don't work quite as well, and guys were scared to use them because of the large bills that they would have. And because of that, I felt like it was a very positive trip. I mean, we were gone 10 days, and everyone that I've talked to from a head coaching standpoint before we went and after we have come back have said that this trip will help us down the road at some point in time, and we certainly are looking forward to that.
What do you feel will be the biggest improvement that this group will have over last season's group?
Have an opportunity to rebound the basketball better and be better defensively. I don't think there's any question that we've improved ourselves in those two areas. Now we just got to go show it. And even though we have the leading freshman rebounder in the league or in the country in Sean Long, we've got to rebound the ball better as a group and cut down on our rebound margin. And also defensively, we've got to do a better job defending and protecting the rim. We were shorthanded last year as we lost a couple of players to transfer, and it proved. And we were not able to win several close games that we felt like we could have. So we got to improve in those two areas.
You got Elford and Sean coming back as well. They both had tremendous seasons last year. They're both preseason, first-team all-conference guys. Share your thoughts and your expectations for them. I would have to assume that they're pretty high.
Well, those two guys have worked hard, Josh. You know, a year ago, Elford Payton wasn't on any of the preseason polls, so that shows you what those mean. It's not about what you do at the beginning, it's how you finish. And Elford has taken advantage of every opportunity presented to him from high school on up to this year, and he always answers the call. And he's improved his shooting tremendously and has had a great spring, which led into a great summer by making the USA team and winning gold medal, and then also into the fall camp. So he continues to impress and work hard. Sean has gotten better as well. He's changed his body. He's worked hard in the weight room since the spring and really made a commitment and played extremely well Monday night in our game against William Carey. It may be one of the best games he's played since he's been here. So we're excited about both those guys' future, and we're excited about our new guys, too. We've got some depth and some guys that can step right in and play. We're deeper at guard than we've been, and we're deeper on the front line than we've been.
Last question, if you could share your thoughts on the new hand check defensive rule changes, how will that, do you feel, affect your group? And I didn't know what your thoughts were on that.
Well, it just depends if it's called with consistency. The other night it was. We've got one of the best penetrators in the country in Elford Payton. He's going to get to the free throw line quite a bit. We hope that he continues to improve his free throw shooting percentage. Shot 56% as a freshman and 64 last year. We feel he'll shoot 8% more again this time, get up in the 70s, and then shoot 80 as a senior. He's worked at it hard. He was 9 for 10 in the World U championships in Prague, so from a free throw line. But it's going to depend on how it's called, Josh. If it's consistent, we've worked hard and practiced against it. We're going to change some defenses at times to help ourselves. The games are going to take longer, and that's a concern from a coaching standpoint. And a lot of teams had trouble scoring, as you know. It's become a very physical game, and coaches do a great job scouting and taking people out of what they want to do offensively, and because of that, there's a lot of holding and hand checking and body contact that they're trying to eliminate. So it will be an interesting year because this is one of the biggest rule changes in the last 25 years.
Coach, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you very much, Josh, and thank you very much, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today, but best of luck with the upcoming season. We are now joined by the head coach of ULM, and that is Keith Richard. Coach Richard, great to have you on today. I'd like to hear from you a little bit about your team, and a reminder to our members of the media, it is *1 to ask questions at any time. Coach, while we're waiting for questions to get in the queue, could you just talk a little bit about how you feel about your team right now?
Okay, thanks, John. Well, we're in the process right now this week of getting ready to play at Kansas on Friday night. We're all excited about the opportunity to go play a great team, a team that always has a lot of media hype and well deserving. But this year in particular, 5 new starters, 8 newcomers, 3 McDonald's All-Americans. It seems to be more than ever. So our players and our coaches are looking forward to this experience. I've never been to Allen Fieldhouse myself, so we're all looking forward to going out there this week and playing the Jayhawks. With that said, our team this year, as many of you well know, over the past 3 years, we've suffered many NCAA APR penalties. It's been a long and tough 3 years with the sanctions that we've been under in terms of scholarship reduction, lack of practice time, reduction in games, on and on and on as we've gone through this process. But we've turned ourselves around academically as a program, winning the Sun Belt Team GPA last year. We won another award with the NABC. So we've done an outstanding job in turning ourselves around academically. And now we look forward, starting this year, to improve and turning ourselves around on the floor. This is the first year since I've been here that we will take the floor with a full scholarship team. It's nice to have gone through a month of practice with a full load of guys. We actually got 16 guys out there right now, and I haven't had that since I've been here. It's been good to practice with that many guys. Kind of forgot how to do it there for a while, and so that's been good. I think of all the penalties that we've endured, the loss of scholarships really was a tough one. But we've got them back, and along with that, we have some newcomers. And I think after watching us, 5 weeks of practice, that we are an improved basketball team from the past. We tried to improve our athleticism, our length and our athleticism, and we've done that somewhat. I think it shows on our team. Couple of players that we've added, 2 or 3 guys, newcomers, have turned out to be kind of what we thought, pretty good players, and that's encouraging. And so all in all, I like where we're at in rebuilding this program on the floor, the start of it, which is really this year. And we got a long way to go, and how much improvement in terms of games won this year remains to be seen. I think that we've improved in, as I mentioned, in a lot of in some areas, but we still have a lot of improvement to do in other areas through recruiting, through development. As time goes on, we'll take the floor Friday against Kansas with 3 new starters. 2 returning starters, Amos Alateo and Jayon James, who both of them have had good summers and improving their game. They've worked hard in the off season, and it showed. And but we'll also start 3 newcomers along with them, and we'll start a freshman point guard. His first college game will be at Kansas. in front of 16, 17,000 screaming fans, and pretty neat for him to the start of his college career will be in that environment. And looking forward to playing him and watching him play over the next 4 years. We'll also start a new wing and a new post player, and I think our starting five, as opposed to the last 3 years, is improved. How well they mesh together with the two returning starters, how well we can develop any kind of depth will also go a long ways in determining how much improvement we can make this year. So that's where we're at, and looking forward to getting the season started.
Thank you, Coach. And right now, turn it over to the line of Josh Parrott. See if Josh has any questions for you today. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
I sure do. Good morning, Coach. Thanks for joining us today. Could you please share your thoughts on what you feel will maybe be the biggest difference between the group that you have last year, compared to the group that you have this year? What are going to be maybe some of the big differences that you feel you'll have this season?
Well, I think the thing that sticks out the most, if you were to watch us practice, and you had watched us last year and the year before and really the year before that, is that immediately you can see some improvement in athletes out there. There's more of them. We try to improve our length and athleticism, and while we've been a short basketball team for the past 2 or 3 years, and due to all our problems and not very athletic, and I think if you watch us for an initial first time this year, that's the thing that sticks out the most, is that they've gotten more athletic. We have 7 guys that are around the 6'7" range, 6'6", 6'7", and while we don't have a 6'9" or 6'10", 7 guys at 6'6", 6'7" is an improvement from what we've had, and so I think that strikes you the most as we take the floor this year compared to last year.
And you mentioned the new starters. You mentioned that you'll have new starters. You didn't actually mention the names. If you could help us with that, who are those new starters for you?
Nick Coppola will start as a freshman point guard for us. Tyler Angwai will start. He's a junior college transfer. Will start as a 6'6" wing player. Will start as a new starter. And then Marvin Williams, who's a junior college transfer player, will start at the post position for us. So those 3, along with Amos and Jayon, will take the floor for us on Friday night.
And you mentioned the APR situation. How have you guys been able to make it through that process? I know that's not something that you guys were at fault for. It's something you kind of just had to deal with. How did you guys make it through, and how much of a relief is it to know that in a way things are finally kind of back to normal somewhat?
Well, first of all, let me mention this. You better have a good president on your side. And fortunately for me and us and our program, I do. Dr. Bruno, who's our president, he inherited this as well, just like I did. And so we've kind of been down this journey together. And, we've had to bite our lip and swallow our egos a little bit in terms of wins and losses on the floor for bringing back academic integrity to our program. Let me assure you of this. While any president out there or any administration wants to win as many games as possible and be as successful as they can on the court, no administration wants the negative publicity that we had and the penalties and the sanctions and the whole bit that went with it, the no postseason play, all that came with it. No president wants that. And so when you ask how were we able to endure it, well, we made a commitment. Both the president, myself, the administration, to turn this around, whatever the cost was athletically. And so and so we did. And it's comforting to know that you have an administration behind you, and it worked. We completely have revamped our academic support system, our academic accountability system, the way we go about what we do here. And it was really led by Dr. Bruno. He took this in-house under his umbrella, and we worked together. It was a team effort, but really having them behind you to do it this way has been the way that we've gotten through it. And now that things are starting to get somewhat back normal, it feels good, as you mentioned, to kind of have the chains off, and here we go about rebuilding our team on the court.
Coach, thanks for your time. Good to catch up with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Josh, and thank you very much, Coach Richard. That's all the time we have for you today. Best of luck with the upcoming season.
Okay, thank you.
And if everyone will please, thank you again for everyone for holding. We are now joined with the head coach of the University of South Alabama, and that is Matt Graves. Coach, great to have you on this morning. I'd like to hear from you for a brief moment on what your expectations are for the upcoming season.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited, first year being a head coach, and excited about coaching here at the University of South Alabama and being a part of the Sun Belt. I think our team's excited. We've got a nice blend of some old veteran guys that have had a lot of great battles and produced really well, and we're trying to mix in 6 freshmen into that mix and a couple sophomores. So it's a nice blend of talent, but at the same time, we've got some inexperience in the backcourt, and then with our front court with Augustine and Michael, we've got some experience. So we're real excited to see how those two avenues verge as we move forward throughout the season.
Great, thank you, Coach. And I understand we have some questions this morning from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning. How you doing, Josh?
Good, very good. Thanks for taking some time to talk with us. How do you feel about the progress of your group as a new head coach there, inheriting some guys, you bring in some guys as well? How do you feel that kind of what you guys are trying to teach?
They've really bought into, and they're really trying to do what we've asked them. We played an exhibition game last night and turned the ball over 24 times, so we still certainly have a lot of work to do, but part of that, and I told them yesterday, it was our fault as well as a coaching staff. We were trying to play different lineups and look at different combinations, so we felt like we attributed some of those turnovers as well, and I think our focus going into this year was really taking care of the basketball, and even though it didn't show last night in our exhibition game, we've certainly made strides in that area.
We all know about Rue, but was wondering if you could just share your thoughts on maybe what you think about him now that you've had some time to be around him, and just kind of your expectations for him this season.
Well, first and foremost, I'm really blessed to come into your first head coaching job and inherit a player of the year from last year and preseason player of the year this year. You feel very fortunate that anytime you take the floor, you have an opportunity to win when you've got the best player or one of the best players on the floor every night. So having Augustine gives you a certain level of comfort as a first-year head coach, but at the same time, he understands that what he did last year is last year, and he needs to continue to produce and even be more efficient this year. And I'm excited because he's worked really hard and put him in a position where he can even have a better year than he did last year. And it may not show up statistically in points and rebounds, but I think it's going to show up in a more efficient game. So I'm excited about that.
Philosophy, Coach, how would you sum that up to people who maybe don't know quite as much about what you guys were able to do up at Butler? What should people expect from your program and from your players?
Well, I think what they're going to see is a team that is going to be a lot more unselfish. They're going to make the extra pass. They're going to really be more defensive oriented. We did a great job in our exhibition game last night, really guarding the basketball and contesting shots. And I think you're just going to see the overall mentality of a more blue-collar type team that really cares for each other and plays hard for one another.
Last question, Coach. Given your ties up in Indiana with Ron Hunter and R.J. Hunter, both with Georgia State joining the league, could you share maybe your thoughts on them joining the conference and what type of an impact you feel they may be able to make, both from an individual standpoint and from a program standpoint?
I think it's outstanding. I have a lot of respect for Coach Hunter. Watching him work while he was in Indianapolis at IUPUI, he did an outstanding job there. I really admire the way he coaches. He does it with a lot of energy and passion, and he really relates to his players. And then I think with his son, again, you're bringing another guy into this league that, he is a, contender for Player of the Year honors. And I think, looking at this league as a whole, there's several players in this league that are really talented and can play anywhere in the country. And I think that's one of the reasons, the Sun Belt's just an undervalued league. And I think we as coaches, need to continue to do a great job of marketing our league and letting people know what kind of talent we have as far as players and then also coaches in this league.
Coach, thank you much. Great to talk with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh, and thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for you today, but best of luck with the upcoming year, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. You have a great day.
Thank you again for everyone for holding. We are now joined with the head coach of UT Arlington, and that is Scott Cross. To get a question in the queue for Coach Cross, it is *1 at any time. Coach, while we're waiting for questions, I'd like to hear from you a little bit about what your expectations are for the upcoming year.
Well, of course, you have to expect to win every single game. If you don't, you're in the wrong line of business. So every time we step foot on the floor, we expect to win. We know that the Sun Belt's a great conference this year. I've kind of eyeballed the rosters and looked at them. A lot of teams have the majority of their frontline players returning, so we know it's going to be a very stacked conference this year, but we're excited to be a part of it and can't wait to get it started. We're just trying to get a little bit better every single day. We have a lot of nagging injuries with our guys. A lot of guys that we were counting on to possibly start have been banged up and injured, and we lost one player in Greg Gainey who will be out for the season. But other guys are stepping up, and we've just got to find a way to get it done without those missing pieces.
Thank you, Coach. And our first questions this morning come from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Coach. Welcome to the Sun Belt Conference.
Thank you very much.
My apologies for us not being able to catch up until now. I had some personal health stuff going on, but I'm glad we can talk now. I'm wondering, please share your thoughts on joining the Sun Belt, your program joining the Sun Belt, and maybe in addition to your thoughts, maybe some of the challenges that you guys might have in moving to another conference for the third straight year.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is just adjusting to the officiating. That was a challenge last year with us with the new conference. It's a different assigner. You see different officials. We had just started developing relationships with those guys. So, when you know those guys and you've had them in games, you kind of know what to expect. So it'll be a little bit of the unexpected with us, but we've been trying to drive it home with our players that they have to be able to adjust. If they're calling the game tight, then we have to do a better job moving our feet. If they're not calling it tight, then you can get away with a little bit more stuff. So that'll be a challenge adjusting to that. I know the league has a ton of talent. That it looks to me like there's at least 6 or so teams that could easily win the league, and maybe more than that. So, like I said earlier, a lot of teams are returning a lot of guys, and we obviously were familiar with Texas State. They're returning a lot of guys. They had some talent last year. I know they'll be very good with Coach Casper. And then you go down the list with the Sun Belt teams that are in the league. So for our guys, it's a great opportunity for them to be in 3 different conferences in 3 years. I mean, you get to travel to different places, see different parts of the world. I think that'll help us grow and bond as a team. I think those road trips is where your team really grows and develops that team chemistry. So I'm looking forward to going to some new places and looking forward to getting it started.
If you could share for those who maybe don't know a whole lot about how you guys play, what should people expect when they see your team out on the floor?
Well, in years past, last year we pressed a lot. We did a man-to-man full-court press. I think we'll probably be somewhat limited with that this year if they call the games as close as we expect them to. So we probably won't be able to do that as much. We do play fast ourselves. We run a pick-and-roll offense. We have some dynamic scores. I feel like Lonnie McClanahan, our point guard, is really fast getting to the basket. He's as quick as any player I've ever coached, and does a great job finishing when he does get to the basket. And we have a guy, Reg Dow, that played at Oklahoma State that sat out last year. He'll be a senior for us. He's a guy that really has a knack for scoring the basketball and can use ball screens very well. We have some height and some length and some athleticism on our team. Stuart Lagerson, 7 feet. He can really run and jump. I think he'll help us defensively. Brandon Edwards is a guy. He's the one that got I believe 3rd team preseason all conference, and he's just a blue collar guy that plays really hard. Very good, strong athlete that can really shoot the basketball, and I expect him to have a great year. So. I think we have some talent in place. It's just a matter of being ready to play. I think this league is going to be somewhat similar to the NFL. On any given Sunday, if you're not ready to play, you're not going to win. And I feel that's the way this league is going to be this year. I feel like from top to bottom, it's going to be a very tight race.
And if you could, your non-conference schedule, how do you feel like that's going to help you guys as you get into conference play?
Well, I hope it. Obviously, playing the number 1 team in the country in Kentucky, it's all downhill from after we play Kentucky. We couldn't possibly face a more talented team than them. So, and then obviously Texas and Oklahoma, and then even starting out Boise, who is receiving some top 25 votes. So, our non-conference schedule is probably the toughest we've ever faced. I feel like last year was the toughest up until this year, and it did help us prepare us for the conference season last year. I'm hoping that it does the same thing again this year. We've had some easier non-conference schedules in the past, but then it seemed like we were a little bit flat when we came to conference. I think the thing that we have to make sure of is that our guys stay positive, that they that we have a great attitude, win or lose, and treat every game the same, so that the non-conference schedule helps us for the conference, because it is going to be tough when you're going in the Rupp Arena and playing in front of however many thousands of fans that they have. But if you approach it with the right mentality, then it'll definitely be a win-win for us.
You mentioned Gainey's out for the year for you guys?
Yes.
Okay. What happened with him? Is that something where is he going to need surgery or anything?
Yes. He had a torn labrum in his hip, so he's going to need surgery, I believe, next week maybe. He'll be getting surgery, and he'll be out for the year.
Okay. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. Welcome to the Sun Belt.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Josh, and thank you very much, Coach. That's all the questions we have for you today, but appreciate your time and best of luck this season.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your patience in holding. We are now joined by the head coach at Texas State, and that is Danny Casper. To get a question in the queue for Coach Casper, please press *1 at any time. Coach, great to have you on this morning. Looking forward to an exciting year. I'd like to hear from you real quick on what your thoughts are on this season.
Well, obviously it's a transition year, and my system is going to be a little bit different than more than a little bit different than the previous coach, and actually even the coach before him. They were very offensive oriented in years past, and I don't think defense was an emphasis. Or that's going to change. We're going to emphasize defense. But on the other hand, I'm not a run and gun coach, and we're not a high scoring a program at Stephen F. Austin. But if you check my records at Incarnate Word, we did have some very good teams that scored in the as high as 79 a game, and mostly in the low to mid 70s while I was there. I'd like to think that we're going to try to challenge, push the ball if given an opportunity, particularly off a turnover or a rebound. But I'm very emphatic to my team that if we don't have something good, pull it out and let's run something. My defensive emphasis will not change from my two previous stints as coaches, where I think we've had reasonable success. And this is one reason why they hired me. They felt like they needed to make a change in this direction, and so I'm going to try to give them what they asked for. And the players are embracing it better than I originally thought they would. They're trying. Obviously, if some of these young men have been playing under a system for 1, 2, or even 3 years, where 2 passes and a shot, and don't play, and defense is not exhibited very much or talked about very much at all. So I have to be patient with them, but I think they've made some great strides in that area. We still have some work to do. In terms of our team, I do think we have some players who've had considerable experience at the D1 level. We have 5 seniors that have either played in the Southland or the WAC. If we can stay injury-free and they'll continue to buy in and maybe improve in the areas I ask them to improve in, we could be a surprise team in the league. If we don't do those things, I think we'll fulfill everyone's expectations, which, if I remember correctly, people picked us 8th in the league. And as I told players, if we get injured or we don't try to improve those areas I've asked you to improve in, I said that would not be shocking to me to finish 8th. So, there it is, and I'm open for questions.
Great, thank you, Coach. And our first questions this morning come from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. Was wondering if you could share your thoughts on joining this league. I know you had a tremendous amount of success in the Southland, but I was wondering just maybe your impressions of maybe the landscape of the league and just how you feel you'll be able to fit in and how your system and your program will do.
Well, all I can do is tell you that, I just compare entering a league, the same way when we did the Southland. Obviously, the Southland is more of a bus driving league than the Sun Belt is. But we played some Sun Belt schools and had success against them. I feel like the Southland and the Sun Belt, if you take the top 3 or 4 teams in the Sun Belt, in the Southland, they can compete in the Sun Belt. I think the difference between the Sun Belt and the Southland is that last 5 teams in the league are probably stronger in the Sun Belt than they are in the Southland. With that being said, I think you're going to have to come ready to play even more than we were in the Southland. When you play a team that maybe has a losing record and is in question of even making the tournament, you still better bring your A game to the floor, because I don't know if you're going to see very many pushovers in this league. And I always felt like there was a team or 2, maybe even 3 in the Southland that we didn't have to play our A game and we could still get the win. So that's the major difference between, I believe, the Sun Belt and the Southland. I repeat, I do think that Bob Marlin, when he was at Sam Houston, had a great team that would have done very well in the Sun Belt, and I felt like we've had some great teams at Stephen F. Mike McConaughey at Northwestern's had some great teams that I thought would have done very well in the Sun Belt. But from top to bottom, it's going to take even more mental toughness and grit to win some of these games on the road than we had in the Southland. I hope you understand how I'm trying to explain my answer there.
No, I definitely understand that. No problem. I appreciate you trying. I know it's a little bit of a complicated answer. No problem. You do have a Joel Wright. He's a guy who put up very solid individual numbers last season. Is he a guy that we should be looking for to kind of continue to put up those type of numbers?
Yes, Joel is trying. Joel's really trying. Last night, he had 13 rebounds in our exhibition game, and he only shot it 11 times in 25 minutes. I think last year if you'd have given Joel 25 minutes, he'd have shot it already 15 or 16. And I'm trying to get him to be, tell him that if he wants to win, he has to be more efficient. He has to shoot, not 40 or 41%. He's got to shoot 47, 48%. He's got to maybe increase his rebounding average by 1.5 or 2 rebounds a game. And probably most importantly, his defense and his assist. I said, Joe, if you put it on the floor last year, they came after you because they knew you were going to try to score. I said, you still got to put it, try to score, but you got to be ready to kick or pass to someone when the help comes. And I do think he's working on that. I do think his defense has gotten better, but it still needs improvement. But yes, he is going to be a key factor for us. And like I told him, I said, you're going to be a major staple of our program if you listen and work with me. If not, you won't be. And I think he's accepted, that at this point in time.
And as far as your newcomers, who are you feeling, at least going into the year, will make maybe the biggest impact of your guys that are maybe new to the program?
Well, I think Imani Gant. He's a JUCO qualifier with 3 years remaining. Right now he is starting for us in the post, and then Kaven Tidbury is a freshman from Houston who has looked very well. Vic Bermudez, a JUCO transfer from Sheridan, Wyoming, is a good shooter. He's a little bit behind because he needed the summer to get eligible, so he missed my summer workouts. And he's catching up, and he's a great kid, so he works at it. In terms of the other players, probably we do have a freshman point guard named Niall Smith. I think is going to get his 15, 17 minutes a game also. After that, I'm trying to think of anybody else we've signed here. I just think I mentioned 4 names to you. We signed 6. Those are probably the 4 that will help us as far as newcomers. I think Phil Hawkins is a returning player who's going to be a key player for us. He ended up starting the last, third or half of the season last year. Reed Kanan is another returning player who's going to play a key role for us. There's a couple of young men that might surprise. A young man named Corey Stern, who has some bad habits that I've tried to get him to work on, but he's got the potential to be a good rebounder and defender for us.
Coach, thanks a lot. I appreciate your time. Good to talk with you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Josh, and thank you, Coach Casper. That's all the time we have here today, but we appreciate it, and best of luck this season.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you again for holding. We are now joined with the head coach of Troy, and that is Phil Cunningham. Great to have you with us this morning, Coach. I'd like to hear from you this morning about what your expectations are for this upcoming season.
Well, we've got 6 seniors, and they're anxious to get going, and the whole team is. It's been a long preseason with the new NCAA rules that allowed us to start in September, and again, a longer than normal preseason, and we're finally glad to get to play against someone else. So we're excited about going to Ole Miss on Friday night.
Great. Thank you, Coach. And our first questions this morning come from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Coach, was wondering if you could share with us just how the transition has been for you as a first-year head coach in that program.
Well, it's been a relatively easy one. I was a head coach when I was pretty young at an NAIA school, so I've been the guy who's made the decisions before. But just from my experience, I was around so many good guys that I worked for in my career as an assistant, and they were really different guys. They were all had their own strengths that they brought to the table, and I learned so much working for those guys. And I've just been put into so many situations as an assistant coach and seeing what the head coach has done that I just feel like that experience has helped me make it a relatively easy transition.
As far as your leadership, Coach, where are you kind of turning to for kind of the guidance as you kind of help build a foundation there with that program?
Well, we inherited 6 seniors from Coach Maestry's staff, the team they had last year, and those guys they've been receptive to everything we've done. They're hungry. They're all junior college transfers, and a lot of times from a basketball standpoint, a junior college transfer, his first year is he's just getting accustomed to his surroundings, and his senior year he really comes out and plays well. So we're looking for that. But we've got 2 senior guards, Hunter Williams and Antoine Fresh Myers, and then a third senior guard, Jeff Millay. Those guys who have really assumed a really good leadership role, but all the seniors have been good. So they're leading by committee right now. They're not the most vocal group, but they do it with work ethic and they lead by example every day. But they're hungry, and that's the one thing you can ask for a team is just that they're hungry and ready to work every day.
What should people expect if from your program, just as far as maybe a style of play and philosophy?
Well, we want to get out and offensively and run every chance we get, but then when we don't have a chance to run, we want to control a little more and try to get shots from the places where and the individuals who we want to get them from. But I just hope we're a team that's always going to play hard and is going to play good, solid man-to-man defense and just very competitive. And I think the one different thing is and we're going to do this through recruiting is we want to have skilled big guys and guys who can not only play around the basket but can play away from the basket as well, because I think that's the way the game of basketball is moving right now.
Okay. Coach, welcome to the Sun Belt, and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Josh, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today, but we appreciate it, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you again for everyone for holding. We are now joined with the head coach of Western Kentucky University, and that is Ray Harper. To get a question in the queue for Coach Harper this morning, please press *1 at any time. And while we're waiting for questions to get in the queue, Coach, could you talk a little bit about what you expect from your team this season?
Well, we feel good about the fact that we have a lot of returners, some guys that have played in 2 straight NCAA tournaments, but we're still a work in progress as well. But I like this group from the standpoint they work hard, and I think we have a chance to get better over the course of the year.
Great, thank you, Coach. And as a reminder, it is *1 to get questions in the queue at any time. Looks like we've got Josh Parrott in the queue. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Could we get your reaction on being by the coaches and then by various preseason polls and magazines and things as being kind of the favorite of the league after what you guys have done the last 2 years? What are your thoughts on that, and how do you feel your guys are responding to being kind of a front runner, so to speak, this season going into the year?
Well, I'm not sure our guys know they were picked to win the league by the coaches. I know they're aware of the fact they were picked 4th and 5th by a lot of polls, and I think that speaks to the balance of the league this season. It's as balanced and as deep as at any time that I've been a part of the Sun Belt, and it's one of those situations where you can't get you don't want to get caught up in where you pick first or last. The games are going to be won on the court, and it's going to be about who gets better over the course of the season. But I look at this league, and there's about 6 or 7 teams that could win the league, I think.
Okay. How do you feel TJ and George have maybe developed or expanded their game over the summer? Are we going to maybe see some new things from them this year?
Well, I think TJ Price took a huge step. He's been probably as good as we've had this season. up to this point. He's gotten in his body in much better shape. He's playing better off the bounce and without the basketball, which, you know, he's always shot the ball well, but now I think he can do more things for us on the offensive end. And George is one of those guys. He just he had a slight injury, and he's just working himself back into shape. But you know, we've relied on those guys for 2 years, and I don't think we'll change much this year as well.
As far as your newcomers, how does that kind of shake down? As who do you expect to maybe be the biggest contributor out of those new guys?
Well, I'm really not sure. I think all of them will contribute. Probably from day one, probably Aaron Adoye would be the guy, but Peyton Halsey's been tremendous. He has the potential to be a starter for us at some point, and you got to look at the two guys that get eligible second semester, and Chris Harrison-Dox and Tracy Jackson. I think both of those guys could be starters by the time we get to conference play.
Last question, Coach. With Crooks being gone, how does the point guard position look for you guys as of right now going into the year?
Well, I think we're deeper than at any time since I've been at WKU at the point guard position. We've got Brandon Harris, who's had a great off summer. He played a lot at the point last year, but he's really taken the next step. The guy that's been the most pleasant surprise is our walk-on, Brandon Price. I mean, he was our leading scorer in our first exhibition game. Tremendous player. We got Peyton Halsey, who freshman, 6'5", also a point guard. Kevin Caspar, who started some as a freshman and sophomore at the point guard position, and then you throw Chris Harrison-Dox in when he becomes eligible. So we've got options. We can go small and quick. We can go big. We can more scoring point guard, more of a passing point guard. So I like the versatility that we have in that position.
All right, Coach. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Josh. Our next questions this morning come from Louisville, Kentucky. Caller, please identify yourself and go ahead.
This is Michael Grant from the Courier-Journal. How you doing, Coach?
Good, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. What do you hope to learn about your team, especially facing a Final Four team from last year on the road? What do you kind of hope to see from your guys in terms of a competitive point of view?
I think not only a team that played in the Final Four last year, but I think one of the toughest teams, not only physically but mentally. And I want to see how our guys react to that. And that's the type of team that we need to be. We're not going to beat teams just with our talent. It's going to come down, are we tough enough? Not physically, but mentally. And when things are not going well, how are we going to react? So we'll get a great test right out of the gate, and we'll move on from there.
What's your thoughts about being a part of the 24-hour college basketball marathon and just starting a game so late in the evening or morning at work?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for our kids to be a part of the 24-hour marathon, to kind of kick off college basketball. Now, starting at midnight, that's a little tough on an old man like me, but you know, again, I think our kids are excited, and I think it's great for our program. It's just an opportunity, and we'll see what we do with that opportunity.
What's your biggest concern so far with this team? Anything kind of stand out from the exhibition game?
Not really. I mean, typical early season things, but you know, I think what I'd like to see is someone really emerge as a leader. You know, they do it more by committee, and we need a leader on this basketball team, and someone's got to emerge out of the shadows and be that guy. And I think if we can find that guy to do that, we'll be okay.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
All right, Michael.
And thank you, Michael, and thank you, Coach Harper. That's all the time we have for you today, but we do appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
And if everyone will please hold, we'll have the Commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference, Carl Benson, on, as well as Coordinator Officials, Mike Wood. Please hold. Again, everyone, thanks for holding today. We are now joined with the Commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference, and that is Carl Benson. Commissioner, great to have you on this morning. I understand that you have a few remarks about the league this morning.
Thank you very much, John, and I'll open up with a statement and then be more than willing and happy to entertain any questions that you all have. Thank you so much for participating in today's men's basketball media preview as we start the 38th season of the Sun Belt Conference. Sun Belt was founded in 1976, as many of you know, and the membership has changed considerably. There are 2 charter members in our current mix. University of South Alabama, and then with the addition of Georgia State was one of the charter members back in 1976. So we do have 2 charter members that are part of our membership this year. You also know that this is another year of transition is occurring throughout the country as conferences are still kind of rotating in and out their membership. But this is an exciting time, an enthusiastic time for the Sun Belt Conference as we go into the 2013-14 season. It's one of not only new members with the addition of Georgia State, Texas State, and the University of Texas Arlington. We have many new coaches in the league. We have new arenas, new facilities that will be added to the Sun Belt, and I think that as you media members get an opportunity to travel, throughout the league, you will see some outstanding basketball arenas that are part of the Sun Belt. Historically, as you know, the Sun Belt was a basketball league. It's only been a football league for 12 years now, so the roots of the conference run deep into the sport of men's basketball, and I think that one of my goals and one of the goals of the conference is to return to some of our history and some of our roots in terms of men's basketball, and we're seeing commitments being made by our universities, from our presidents to our athletic directors, into the sport. We think that we've got some outstanding new coaches to go along with coaches that have been around the league for a while. So it's a great combination, and again, a lot of enthusiasm. We also have a new logo, as everyone knows, going into this year. We have new offices in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome for conference headquarters. And we're moving our basketball tournament to New Orleans next March. So, saying all that, it's a year of change, but it's a year of great changes for the Sun Belt, and again, very, very optimistic and enthusiastic about the future of men's basketball in the Sun Belt Conference. With that, John, I will pause and entertain any questions.
All right, thank you. As a reminder to our members of the media, it is *1 to get a question in the queue at any time. Right now we've got questions from the line of Josh Parrott. Josh, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Commissioner. Glad we get to talk with you a little bit today. If you could, I'm interested with the new members this year, and like you mentioned, kind of the transition. What are some of the goals for the league, specifically in terms of men's basketball, maybe for this season, and then maybe more on more of a long-term basis as well?
Well, I think that you always want to be in that kind of category of the top 15. There's 32 Division I conferences, and there has been segmented, and from a historical standpoint, the Sun Belt has always wanted to be in that top 12 range. And a year ago we did have an outstanding year, and I think demonstrated that maybe basketball is back in the Sun Belt, and so we need to follow up on the success that we had last year. We did have 2 teams, in the NCAA tournament. We had an at-large team with Middle Tennessee, and one of the goals is always to get an at-large team and to get multiple teams in the tournament. But I think just as important as multiple teams, Josh, is by being able to put our champion into the NCAA tournament with a high enough seed that it gives that team a chance to win games in the tournament. And I think it's just as important to get a team into the second round, into the Sweet 16, into that second full weekend of play, and to have the Sun Belt listed as conferences that have a team that advanced into the tournament. And we're changing the format of the Sun Belt tournament this year in hopes of giving our quote best team, our champion, a better opportunity to get through the tournament unscathed and to maintain a seed. So I think that that's our goal, not just for this year, but for the future. Is obviously multiple teams, but if not multiple teams, then to be able to showcase our champion, with a good seed that's going to allow that team to win games.
How would you describe the future in terms of just the strategic planning aspect when it comes to scheduling in non-conference and whatnot for men's basketball?
Well, non-conference scheduling is a key, and we've had many meetings over the course of the last 16, 18 months about what is the right strategy, and the Sun Belt had adopted some scheduling policies that we've elected to forego right now, and my philosophy is that each basketball program is at a different stage, is at a different point in their maturity, and coaches, and athletic directors need to be able to in advance know what type of non-conference schedule is in their best interest. And I think that we definitely have made them aware that if a team thinks that they are going to be an at-large candidate, that they have to schedule different perhaps than a program that is coming off of whether it's a coaching change or whether it's a team that is building from the bottom. And so I think that we have to be willing to have trust and confidence in our universities to schedule kind of in their niche and such, and but it's important, and I think that at the same time, coaches have to be given the resources to be able to put together a non-conference schedule that includes a certain number of home games, and statistics show that the more home games, the more home non-conference games you play, the more you win, and so that's a balance there too that requires a certain investment to be able to get those home games.
And if you could, my last question: how significant do you feel that move is with the conference tournament now being there in New Orleans? That seems like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, we're really excited about it and think that it's definitely the best location, and we're happy with the venue, Lakefront Arena, that has been totally redone, and we think that we have a chance to really create a college basketball environment in New Orleans, and from a geography standpoint, it fits perfectly into the Sun Belt footprint, and we're going to use the conference headquarters and the Sun Belt basketball tournament to really create awareness and recognition in and around Greater New Orleans.
Commissioner, thank you for your time. Good to talk with you.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, thank you very much, Josh, and that is all the questions we have for you this morning. Commissioner Benton, now I'd like to